Joe, you're online with Steve Jewin of MMA Mania.
All right.
Hey, Joe, the baddest man on the planet. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for calling.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you. And you are one of my favorite fighters because whenever I cover one of your fights, the maniacs on MMA Mania go nuts. You are a polarizing man.
Well, thank you, bro. You know, I just think I've fought in front of a lot of free audiences for my whole life. I've got a great fan base, you know, and I seem to speak the truth, and people like to hear it.
Some like that truth, some don't. That's why I say you're polarizing. But
yeah, I don't give a shit. It's the truth, you know.
And that's what makes it fun for me, is that you're not afraid to share your opinion, whether people like it or not. So speaking of your opinion, I know you still think you didn't submit to Marcos Galvão. So how are you feeling now a few months from that fight?
Well, I mean, I was in shock, man. I believe, you know, there's no way that, you know, my body doesn't justify losses, you understand? So I never thought that there was any way that I could lose, even if he brought a weapon in the cage, you understand? So for that to happen, I didn't even know I didn't even know that I screamed, you understand, until I got home. And then when I got home, I saw it, and I saw I screamed, and I instantly tweeted John McCarthy and said, "Thanks for saving my legs, sorry for screaming again." You know, I mean, the bottom line is it's the most unpredictable place in the world is that cage, and I was the best I've ever been. But that being said, you know, you let a 5-time world champ grab your leg, and there might be a problem there. And, you know, I didn't tap, but I screamed and I heard it, and so there's not much I can say, you know, I mean, but he got me, man. He caught me. He could do it 1,000 times again, and it wouldn't happen again, but, I was on the wrong side of the stick that day.
So you'll bite your tongue, you'll pull your tongue out, you'll do anything other than scream at me.
I frickin' did it, man. Hey, just like, remember my third fight for the Dream Finals. I fought Viviano, and they stopped the fight, said my arm was in desperation of breaking. He rolled out on a straight arm bar on me, and I couldn't understand that either. But then I went home and watched it and was like, oh shit, at least I can move my arm.
Did work out for the best in that case, maybe in each
so
case.
It sucks, you know, he took a piece of my heart back home with him, but he didn't take a piece of my leg.
Right.
So, that's the way it is. You know, I'm done crying about it and bitching. It's behind me. I planned on having this rematch against him, and he was hurt. So I took a fight against Ossie Davis. It looks like he's fighting again a few weeks right after me. So I'll get the winner of that fight, after I beat up Ossie.
Well, let's talk about Ossie Davis. He's a phenomenal wrestler. You're a phenomenal wrestler. How's this fight gonna go?
Well, you know, if you want to compare wrestlers, I win. But, I don't think that's what it is. He's you know, he's a JV wrestler. I'm a world champ. That's how that goes. But he is a durable wrestler. That's the bottom line. You know, all of us wrestlers, would rather die than lose. I believe he's one of those guys. I believe it's going to be a hard-fought fight no matter any way I look at it. I'll just see if he can deal with my kind of pressure. I'm going to put everything I have onto him and let him feel why I'm the baddest man in that Bellator cage. I'm going to try to put every bit of violent pressure I can on him and finish him in that Bellator cage September 25th, live on Spike.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great main event. But talking about Ossie Davis and his heart and winning fights, did you think he won that fight with Hideo Tokoro, or did you think the Tokoro should have won?
Well, that was the fight before mine, you know, like, right before it. So I saw some of the fight, but I've seen Tokoro fight and I knew what kind of fight it would be. He tried the submission from everywhere he can possibly be, on his one foot, in the air, on his back. He doesn't care. So I knew it would be something crazy. And that being said, a good wrestler, durable wrestler like LC, it was great matchmaking for Bellator again. And I think, you guys, you know, the fans got what they wanted. That being said, I'm not going to be jumping around flying, for submissions. I'm going to be trying to put a hole through this guy. So, we'll see how his chin can hold up.
All right, punching power may be the story of the day then, and I've often said when looking at fights between wrestlers, now I know you said you're an Olympic level wrestler, he's a JV level wrestler, we'll just make that a given, but it seems to me often in times when a wrestler faces a wrestler, it comes down to striking.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that being said, like you said, usually when two wrestlers fight, they end up striking it out. I don't really know how it's going to go. You know, my predictions, I believe that I'm going to leave that cage with my hand up and screaming, talking to everybody on the Bellator mic with Jimmy. I don't know how it's going to work. I just know that I'm going to put a lot of pressure on this guy and see how durable he really is. I'm out there to test his durability. The Baddest man's going to put on a show again for everybody. And if he wants to wrestle, you know, he's not Olympic level wrestler. I'm a world champ, baby. There's two different things: Greco-Roman world champ, baddest man on the planet. And if he wants to start wrestling, I'll be happy to do that. But that'd be something he would never do. He'd take a fight with me, but not a wrestling match. So, if it becomes a wrestling match, I'll get the job done. But I believe my skill set is primed right now for wherever he wants to go. I'm going to push the pace and see if he can hold on.
Well, let's do a little future prognosticating. Let's say this fight goes exactly the way you described. Let's look down the road to that rematch with Marcos Galvao. They have these events called tent poles now. Kimbo versus Shamrock, that was a tent pole. We got Liam McGarry, Tito Ortiz coming up this week. That's a tent pole. Do you see Galvao versus Warren again as a tent pole?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I want to be the main event for all these super big shows that Bellator puts on. I mean, I'm a little jealous, you know. I'm like, hopefully, or I like to say, I'm one of the, you know, the Bellator promoters, and not to be on those big shows, I'm always depressed. A Coker tells me it's not personal; it's strictly because I'm fighting for title shots, and they're 5-round fights. They don't have a lot of time. I'm fighting, and that's what was supposed to happen this fight, being Galvao was supposed to fight, so I wasn't able to go on this great Dynamite card, which everyone should tune in Friday. But, you know, they headlined me the week after, and hopefully they want to get the Baddest man on one of these big shows. So they're just telling me stop fighting for belts and start just having fights, and we'll put you on more shows. So I feel more comfortable with a belt.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious you do, because you're one of only two people I've interviewed that have been champion in 2 weight classes. The other was Randy Couture. So that's, I mean, just from your own perspective, it's got to be pretty awesome knowing what you've achieved in your career.
Yeah, you know, I haven't really took the time yet to sit back and look at it. Like you said, you know, we're still training. Me and Randy are very, very good friends, you know. I mean, so I always like to be in any kind of conversations with him. He's a stud, man. We're both Greco guys. So yeah, I mean, I've done a lot in Bellator. That being said, I feel like there's still more for me to do here. I never wanted to lose this belt again. If I ever wanted to go out, I wanted to go out on top with a belt. So my focus right now is on getting through Ossie Davis here September 25th, and then let's get this belt back. Let's have a crazy fight for everybody on Spike, watching me beat up one of those Brazilians, and then we'll talk about the future at that point.
You know, you've already said you're a better wrestler, you're going to be a better striker, you're going to put a hole through him, but when you look at things about Ossie Davis and you want to say good things about him, if there are any good things you want to say, what do you think is the most complimentary thing you can say about him as a fighter?
Yeah, you know, personally, I never want to talk any crap about him. I like him. He's a good guy. I mean, the best thing about him is what kind of personality and what kind of person he is. You know, every time I've spoke with him and had any conversations, he's been first class, and that's what a lot of ex-wrestlers that are still competing, they are. They're as first class as they can get. So I believe he's a great person. I just think you shouldn't start verbally assaulting one of the best guys in the business. You know, I mean, my verbal assault is as damaging as my physical assault. So, you know, I know he's trying to hype a fight, so we're trying to do that right now. But I think he's like I said, his best attribute is his durability. I believe that's what gets him through all these fights. His durability, his tough head. But that being said, I am the strongest minded person out there, and I'm pretty excited to get another win under my belt. So you better tune in and watch that.
Well, I know you're deep in the training camp right now getting ready for the 25th, but are you still going to be able to go out and check out San Jose and be there for Dynamite?
No, I can't make it. I went out to the World Championships for wrestling Wednesday this week and came back Thursday, so I didn't get to see a lot. Just I want to get out and see everyone there. It's too close, so I'm not going to be able to make it out, but I'll definitely be watching and be real excited. You know, there should be one for the ages. Probably one of the biggest fights on television, so I'm pretty excited to watch it.
Any thoughts on the winner between McGarry and Ortiz?
Oh, you know, I always got to go with Tito for this one. You know, he's a wrestler, he's American. You know, when I'm in Bellator, and I like Liam McGarry and Tito, so I like both of them, but I'm gonna go with Tito on this one. We don't know how it's gonna work out, but I always got to go with my boys.
Well, Ortiz does say this is the healthiest he's ever been, the best he's ever been. So he's another one that, like you, he really talks a good game.
Yeah, we're see, man. You don't count out Tito.
I don't, not at all. And we're getting two great main events 2 weeks in a row. We get McGeary and Ortiz, and then we get the light heavyweight tournament on Dynamite 1, plus All the Glory Kickboxing. A week later, we get you and Ossie Davis, the main event in Hidalgo, Texas. I mean, Bellator is just pouring it on right now. This is like the busiest month ever.
Well, that's what I'd like to say, man. Bellator, since Coker came around, Vicom and Spike is, they've been doing special things, and Bellator gets bigger. Every single show gets more exciting, gets more viewers. I say it's where the cool kids fight, and I'll tell you, man, I'm excited to see it grow. I've been here since the first season, and it's kind of an honor to see where it's becoming. It's one of the best.
Well, now, speaking about Scott Coker, like you said, you've been with Bellator going way back to the beginning. You've been through the Bjorn Rebney era. You're in the Scott Coker era now. How do you compare the two of them style-wise?
Well, I got along with both organizations very well. I won belts with both organizations. Bjorn, he maybe not had the best, people didn't say the best things about him. He treated me great. Him and Tim, they did what they could to put me where I was. I told them what I wanted to do, and they gave me the option, even though being a fighter that has never fought before, really, on their cards. Scott Coker's a professional, man. He's done this before. He's blown organizations up, and he's now doing this with Bellator. You can tell he's got his handcuffs off, and he's able to do what he wants to do. And the shows are big, they're free, they're fun for the fans. And, how nice is it to turn on something on Friday night on Spike and there'd be a fight on Friday night, it's a lot boxing, MMA, or, Glory, one of the two, and it's free. And it's probably a great fight, So, Bellator gets bigger, and I keep getting bigger with it, and it's an honor to be with them.
Speaking of keeping getting bigger, you've been fighting at bantamweight, but as I already mentioned, you were a champion before at featherweight. Is there any chance we're ever going to see you go back to featherweight and try to get that title again?
No, man. I'm too small. I weigh 145 today. You know what I mean? I was waking up 145 when I was fighting that weight, and I didn't know how to fight. So I was fighting guys, 6-7 inches taller, 30 pounds bigger, like Pat Kern. I took him down 7 times that fight and lost that fight. So, so it's just kind of like, at the time when I switched over to Bellator from Dream, they didn't have a 135. There wasn't even 135 in the UFC. It was still WEC. So I had a choice to go WEC or Bellator when Bellator was brand new and paying a lot of money. Remember those first tournaments?
Oh yeah.
And, they didn't have 35 though. So they said they had 45, and I thought there wouldn't be much difference for 10 pounds, and I learned my lesson right away. Those guys are way bigger. You're talking a whole different size person than me. So you could possibly see me fight lower weights in this, but not heavyweights anymore. Maybe for some money. You never know. If the paycheck's right, I can be a featherweight again.
Put enough zeros on the end, then. That's all you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, shit, I'm an old man here. I fight for money.
Well, that's what King Mo says too. He says he's a money weight, so I guess you're the money weight of the smaller weights, and he's the money weight of the bigger weights.
Yeah, he just gets paid more. That's the problem. They should pay you by how many belts you have.
That sounds like some sort of Reebok type sponsorship. Like you get $50,000 for every championship
you've held.
But
that's the thing. I mean, if I was 200 pounds, I'd be a multi-millionaire.
Well, I think that as long as you continue to rile up the fans the way I've seen you do on MMA Mania, you're always going to be in demand. So I think the paychecks will keep on coming.
Well, hopefully, man. Hopefully. Right now, we gotta pay some bills here, so we gotta beat up Ossie Davis.
All right. Well, speaking of paying some bills, I want you to go ahead and plug some sponsors, throw out some social media links. I know people are already following you, but picking up a few more can never hurt. Yeah,
bottom line is, I have no sponsors. They all dropped me after my last fight, so that's just kind of how it kind of goes in this field. You can win 8 in a row, but they'll drop you after one fight. So I'd like to thank my wife. I'd like to thank Mark Montoya and Factory X, and Bob Forster and Phase 4 Athletics. Those are guys that keep me rolling. And just thank all those fans out there for keeping tuning in and watching The Baddest Man. you know, I put everything I have in that cage, 100% of me. So it's, you see the best or the worst of me. Sorry about that, but, thanks for tuning in, man. And, make sure live September 25th, you tune in to Bellator and watch it on Spike.
Absolutely. If you can't be in Hidalgo, Texas to be there live for the fight, don't miss it on Spike. Joe Warren and Ossie Davis are going to tear the house down in the main event of the show. So, Joe, I'm so honored to talk to you today. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. I'll talk to you after I beat up LC.
Sounds like a plan. Talk to you then.